we will get this going. Let me tell you, Ann Walter is coming in this morning right before 8 o'clock so that we can talk about what she would like to see from a sub perspective. So that will be that part. This won't take us very long. This is just talking about the conferences. And some of you will have conferences in your classroom, some of you will not. I do have a handout for you. Oh, thank you. And we'll go over that a little bit. I think this is an interesting one that. Okay, let's go. It's hard to do this backwards.
Hey, you must be Callie's hi there. Nice to meet you. I'm brought you here today to discuss Callie and how she's been doing in our class. At the beginning of the year, she seemed to be doing really well, and then all of a sudden, she just stopped turning in her homework assignments. And I don't know if she turns when she reflects. I watch her do it. She does that at the table. She does her homework because somehow then she's misplacing it because obviously I haven't received it. And here are the assignments that she's been missing, and I don't know. She was on that one and that one. I saw her do it. I understand that you've seen her do it before, but she obviously hasn't turned it in. So I don't understand if she's just disorganized or maybe like she's just absent-minded when she. Well, the problem that Callie told me is that every other student in the class is getting an A, and for some reason she just can't get it, and I don't understand that. I mean, she does her homework every day. She does everything. Well, if she does her homework, she should turn it in so that way the grade will affect what she does. She does her homework. I don't know. Like, do you misplace her papers or something? I don't misplace. I had to go to. I have organizational skills. She needs to learn these skills so that she'll be better and not confident. You don't think she can handle this class? You should have a conversation with your daughter about how this is happening and how she's misplacing. I'd rather give the talk to her. I know but okay, that's fine. Do what you feel is necessary. I'm just saying that I'm not misplacing your papers because I have not received them. Well, she doesn't. So something's happening. I don't know. I'll talk to Callie about it, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, I see her homework. I don't understand. Okay. I don't understand either because obviously she told me in class that she just doesn't like the homework assignments. To me, how I interpret was that she doesn't do them because she doesn't like them. She doesn't. Okay. So she does them. It's just that she's misplacing them, obviously, because I haven't received them. So, just a little chat. You can talk to your daughter, and I can talk to her and see if that might be best if we can figure it out. Okay.
So she did a few things wrong here, evidently. And we just need to talk a little bit. What should she have done? What could have been done differently to approach the issue? Any thoughts?
I don't think Mom should have been surprised at the conference that there were all those missing assignments.
Right.
Perhaps she should have contacted her
beforehand.
Or if she was contacting her to set up the appointment, she should have told her why. And maybe Mom could have investigated before.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
And to spend that much time engaging back and forth with that issue.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was getting resolved.
And having the child there might have helped. Mm-hmm. And I don't always like to have kids at the conference. Sometimes I think it detracts from what you're trying to get accomplished. But other times like this, it would have been helpful to have them there and have them discussing that this is what's happening now. Tell me what happened with you, and being a part of that. The handout that you have just has a few tips. On the back is a sheet. If you are setting up conferences, this is a great reminder sheet. Your last page, yes? Okay, I want to make sure I put it in there. And then just filling that out. You can go on the T drive and get it, and I have directions from the PC. From the Mac, I don't have directions, but I do have them from the PC. If you are looking for them and would like to do it electronically instead of having to write them out, I've got the directions to do it from your PC in your room. If you want to do that. Sending them out now, ours are October 10th and 15th. So if you are sending them out, I would say probably next week in the Thursday folder would be good, so that they get them ahead of time and they can contact you and change them. Hopefully, if you have a list of people you should be seeing, you've made sure that everybody in your class has signed up. If they haven't, because they would have signed up at conferences, at open house, for conferences, then if they haven't signed up already, you need to contact them and say, here's the places I have open. Which one of these can you come? And for you, it will be important to contact the teachers and make sure you get all of those scheduled, which is going to be a nightmare for you, just so you know. It usually is. When I was teaching in special ed, it was always difficult to make it to all the conferences, especially we seem to have a lot larger caseloads these days than we used to have, and it's hard to get in there and make it to all of them, and then you have to set your priorities, and it makes it difficult. One thing that I have found that they don't have in here, hi,
Hi.
you're early, come
I
on
know.
in. That they don't have in here is having an agenda and having it out on your table or wherever you're working from, and just so that the parents can see these are the things we're going to talk about and you can stay on time. I know a number of people who set a timer when the parents come in and stay to that 15 minutes by setting the timer, and when it goes off, you wrap it up. And I don't know, to me that's really pushy, but with some parents you have to be really pushy to get them out the door, or they're going to take a half hour. And especially when if you have someone where you have extra people coming in, and not to badmouth you, Jenny, but if you do have someone else coming in to the conference with you, it takes more than 15 minutes for them to talk and you to talk. You have EL kids? Okay. And so when Steph comes in for my conferences, I know it's going to be a little bit more because she has to talk about the evaluation she's done and some of the things that have been done. So when you do that, kind of know that you're going to have to go through your stuff quickly, or maybe there's a few things you have to cut out to add in time for them. I would not go over too much of the map testing and those kinds of things. You can say, well, this is where they're at. I wouldn't spend a lot of time saying this is their goal, this is what we want to accomplish, this is their weak area, this is their strong area. You don't need to explain everything that's on there. Use that more for your information. And then in the winter conference, if you see that, wow, they're really not seeming to go where I want them to go, then you might want to go back to it and bring up some of the testing and what you've done for that. One of the things that a high school teacher sent to us was a PowerPoint, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but she was saying on the PowerPoint, she said use the sandwich method, meaning start with a positive, sneak in those not so positive, and always end on a positive note. And keeping notes, making sure that you are writing down if there's something that they want you to follow through on, make sure you do follow through on it. Things like that. You have all done this before, correct? At some point, kind of? kind of. So I think the main thing is listening. They're going to want you to listen to their thoughts and make sure that they're hearing what you have to say. So if it comes out as, well, your kid didn't do this, it's going to be a lot less positive. And if it does feel like it's going long, ask them if you can schedule another time for them to come back. Can you come back in the morning or after school or something like that? The problem with doing that is that a lot of times they say, wow, I really would like to come about 6:30 on Tuesday. Sorry, I'm not here at 6:30 on Tuesday evening. So, if you can figure out a time when they can make it, that works a lot better. But there's one other thing that they would like me to show you. I'll do this and then I'll let Ann talk. This took me about 15 minutes to figure out how to make this one run because I kept having these ads come in here instead. So this is what it did earlier.
You can X at the corner.
Oh, yes, that's right. Thank you. That's what I had to do. Thanks for knowing that.
So you get the phone call, that dreaded phone call from your child's school that a parent-teacher conference is in order. Well, this morning we are going to talk about how to have a solution-focused meeting between you, the parents, and or maybe you, the teachers. Here with all that with some good advice is Dr. Russell Sabella, PhD in counseling. You've been through some of these heated, dreaded, unwanted situations before.
Well, I have. I've observed quite a few, and I think I've been in one or two myself. And so it's our 5th, 6th week of school, and it's probably right about now where teachers and others are starting to call home to get the parents' help, as well as the students.
So you get that call, do you assume that it's something bad, that my kid has misbehaved, or is flunking out of school, or something is not right?
Well, unfortunately, most of the time it is. We encourage teachers and parents to have ongoing conversations, especially when their child is doing okay. However, because of time and resource issues, oftentimes it's not until they get off track that the dreaded call comes in.
So your philosophy is, if you get called in and the point is that your kid has flunked every math test since the beginning of school, instead of rewinding the tape and going over every dramatic episode from the past, instead look toward the future.
Right. So here's what happens. We get the big meeting. We get parents and teachers, and oftentimes more than one teacher, sometimes the child. And what typically happens is they play the explain and blame game. And so everybody goes around and tries to figure out what it is that this child has done wrong, how it is that they've gotten off track. Now, we assume, and I think this is a safe assumption, you get more of what you focus on. And so what ends up happening is, instead of being helpful, we have just now more clearly described and defined what the child is doing wrong, which is not real helpful to getting them back on track. So what I'm encouraging parents, teachers, and kids to do is to do something a little bit differently. And that is to go back and look for the exceptions. The child was not always messing up. What was going on before their performance started disintegrating?
There are nuggets of gold in this pile of mud.
There are. So if we just go back and say, what were you doing and what were you thinking before the problem started to occur? What will probably, and by doing that, we'll get them to focus on those things. And again, you get more of what you focus on. That is more likely to get them back on track than trying to figure out what went wrong.
So you believe that highlighting past progress will pave the road toward future progress.
Exactly. I think we can help kids behave their way into a new way of thinking as well as think their way into a new way of behaving.
One of the words that you like to use is partnership between the parent, the kid, and the teacher. Well, what is this
Right.
partnership and how do we establish it?
Right, that's a real important, it's kind of like the three legs of a chair. If you take one of those legs away, the chair falls over. You need kids, you need parents, and you need teachers and other educators. Now, here's one of the important parts about that partnership. Everybody has to be committed, and everybody has to take responsibility for the parts of the situation that they control. And so, parents have to be able to say, okay, before my child was messing up, what is it that I was doing that was helpful at the time? Also, by the way, I think that they have to act as if. And so we've got parents who are so frustrated with their children, they'd rather not even help them with their homework or talk to them. And what we're having to tell them is, instead of reacting that way, respond according to what you want to have happen. If you want your child to do more homework, then help them with their homework, no matter how frustrated you are.
You believe in being responsible, and you also believe in being realistic and knowing that there's only so much you can control, and that would be you.
Exactly. And so rather than trying to control our kids, help them to better control themselves, and then everyone else takes control of the parts that they are responsible for.
You believe in acting instead of reacting. Our natural tendency, especially when you go into the conference and the teacher says, or what you hear or your perception is the teacher or principal saying, your kid is doing this and your kid is doing that. So you get a little bit defensive.
Right, right. And so what I'm encouraging parents to do is to set this up as if this were part of a corporation and set up quarterly meetings. Look at the progress, okay? Businesses look at profit, we look at achievement. And so as a parent, don't wait for the call. Go in every quarter, or maybe even every other quarter, and have a brief meeting with teachers, and then focus on how the student is achieving, as well as how they can achieve better.
Saving a lot of parent-teacher conferences is what you're able to do for us this morning, and the school year will be a little smoother and a lot better for everybody in the partnership.
Right. I think-
Richard Sabella.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of a stress-free process.
I think so. Thank you for helping us out.
My pleasure.
If you want more information about the segment, just go to our website. There it is, fox4morningblend.com.
Okay. Let's see if I can get back up here. I don't want to be there. There we go. All right. So, I think coming at it from a parent's perspective, if you're a parent already, you maybe have been on that other side of the table, and that was the one thing that I found helpful, having been a parent before I was a teacher, was knowing what it was like to sit on the other side. And if you did get someone accusing you or not very positive conference, you know what it's like to be on that side, so you work harder at being on the other side and being a lot more positive. And I think I'm going to let you take it from here. I am filming you, just so you are aware I am filming you.
You have to?
I do.
You do?
I have two teachers that aren't here that have to watch this.
Okay.
So I'm going to just film you.
Well, I brought in a sample of what one teacher at the school is, and everybody kind of has their own thing and way of doing it, but I think it's really smart to do a hard copy, and she has a ton of information on here that, it's general information, when the kids come in, good helpers, what room you're in, your phone number, attendance procedure, bathroom breaks, dismissal emergency numbers, class management, children with special needs, then she has a section for special notes of the day. I think that's really smart because then she can just go play. I know it'll take some time to make it initially, but then when you maybe at the last minute have to have a sub, it's pretty easy to go in and plug in the lessons for the day. Some of the things that I think are important that I encounter, make sure you'll have a subfolder, but make sure you have a class list either right on top, even just set it out for the sub, because sometimes I get in rooms and I have to look for it, and for me, I want to know, I want to see that class list, I want to do my attendance off of it, and I want to have it handy, and I want to know how many kids are in my room. That class list, make sure it's out and really available. Make sure your emergency folder, tell them where it is. I've had to look for that too, because that's stressful thinking, okay, the fire alarm can go off at any moment. I need to grab that, I need to know where I'm going. You just don't want to have to look for it when the alarm's already going off. And sometimes maybe they're hanging on the back of the door. Well, your door is open and just make sure they know where it is. Make sure that I like to know if they have an IEP or just allergy information. There's a lot of kids, this is a big one, there's a lot of kids that get pulled out for different reasons. And I'm afraid I'm going to get outside for a fire drill and I'm not going to know where all my kids are, because some of them, I mean, it's constant all day. So if you can have a section on here, and I know sometimes it changes daily, but just so that you can say, okay, these kids get pulled out for speech from this time to this time. These kids get pulled out, I know it changes a lot, but just so that the sub knows where the kids are. Like the older kids, a lot of times I'll say, you know where you're going, please tell me where you're going and when you're going to be back, so that, when I see you're not here, I know where you are. So that would be important to have on there. Also, this is a big one. If you know you're going to be out, and you can shoot an email to your parents the day before letting them know, I'm going to have a sub tomorrow and the sub does not have access to email, so that they know if they're picking up their kid early, if their kid's not supposed to take the bus, they're getting picked up, that they send the sub a note, because this happens a lot. Parents will send an email and the sub has no access to that. So if you know you're going to be out, let your parents know so they can send a note. Or I've had teachers that will call me in the morning. They'll check their email in the morning and they'll say, oh, I got an email, so-and-so is doing this, so-and-so is doing that. It'll save a lot of drama at the end of the day if people don't, let you know. Also, if you have, I don't know, like some teachers have the emergency cards or like the parent contact information on a ring of cards. Does everybody have those?
I don't think so. I have slips in my bottom drawer.
But if you can have that out, because let's say, your first grader comes in and says, my mom says I'm supposed to take this bus home today, but I usually take this bus and there's no note. That's usually the only reason I would ever call a parent, is just to verify, hey, what's going on at the end of the day today. Otherwise, I would never call a parent other than for something like that. But if you could have, or maybe you can just have that list in your subfolder, maybe, where you could get a hold of the parents. That's kind of a big one.
That's a great idea.
Because, I mean, I would never call a parent for anything other than like something
Right.
like that.
Right.
The computer stuff, make sure that there's the sub logins, and like she has it listed on here what the sub logins are. But just make sure that your computer directions are pretty clear, because like some people have their Macs hooked, some people have their things hooked up different in the room. Some people's Macs are hooked up to the smartboard. Some people have their other computers hooked up to the smartboard. Some people have all their stuff on a flash drive. Some people, just make sure your computer stuff is pretty detailed on how they need to get to it. If you have it all saved in a certain place or whatever, if it's on your desktop, just make sure, because some subs, and I'm okay, but there's some older than I am that really struggle with that. So just make sure that's really clear, the computer stuff. Don't assume they're gonna know how everything works and how, the going home procedures are super important, especially for the little kids. A lot of them have a list right by the door, each bus, who takes each bus, who goes to RKK, and even like for the younger ones, have a procedure. First send the walkers, then send the RKK kid. I had one, this happened to me once that was stressful. I sent, it was first grade, I sent all the kids that went to RKK together, they walked down together. Everybody left, the day was over, and the gal from RKK came and said, well, where's so-and-so? And I said, well, she went down with the group. She never came. So we all go out and we look. We can't find her. She's not down there. She's not in the bathroom. We couldn't find her anywhere. So the RK kid gal called the parent, and the parent was in the commons. Saw her, like got off work early. Saw her and just took her and left. Didn't tell them. Didn't tell me. So for like 10-15 minutes, we didn't know where this child was. So just having those going home procedures, you know, I knew where she was supposed to be, and I knew where I sent her. You know, just make sure that's clear, especially for the little ones. The older ones seem to. It's good for everybody to have it on there. Allergies. Let's see, yeah, for like the special needs too. Like if you have a child that spends most of their time down in the autism room. Like sometimes they will come and be here for attendance, but then sometimes they're not. So you don't know if you're supposed to mark their attendance or they are. Like often I've had a call down there, and having that contact person on here is important. Like if it's Jody or whoever it is, say, do I, they're here? And they're like, oh yeah, they're here. Yeah, because that's kind of confusing too. Because sometimes they're in the classroom for attendance and sometimes they're not. This is helpful to have letting them know what your bathroom policy is, because when the subs come in, everybody's going to go to the bathroom. Like, and one goes, and then they're all going. So okay, if you can go at certain times of the day, say we're going now, and then we're going then, and then it's only for an emergency, and if you just kind of state the policy right on, I think it'll be helpful for the sub to keep that under control. Let them know who the helpers are. Also have things that they can do, like if they have an assignment, what they should do when they're done. Maybe have a little extra something so that when they're done with this, they can work on that. So everybody's busy. Let them know what teachers you can ask for help from. Some of them work together more than others as far as their daily stuff. I'll pass this around though, because I think everybody does it differently, but this one's a real detailed one. So if you want to take a look at it, she's pretty much got everything on here. Do you think of anything else?
No, I think that sounds great, and it's a lot of information, and there were things that I didn't think about
That are on this one. This
yeah.
one's really detailed. So, take a look at it. But I guess having that hard copy that you can just go back and fill in. I mean, like Michelle, she has laminated sheets with her schedule, and then she writes on Post-its. She fills in each section. So everybody does a little differently, but I don't know. I guess the more detailed you are on the hard copy, then the less you have to do. When the day comes. I'm trying to think of like situations that have come up that were a problem. Really letting her know who gets pulled out. That's kind of a big one right now for me, because there is a lot of kids in and out, and just knowing where everybody is and when they're coming back. Oh, this is another one, the key. I never worried about having a key to the classroom up until last year when they had that school situation. So sometimes they lay the key out for you. The sub does, but the secretary does for the sub, but I don't know if that's something that schools, have they ever talked about that? Just so that there's a lockdown, you can lock your door.
Right. And I keep my door locked all day.
Do some people have
out of habit.
universal keys? I mean, I guess.
No, only Stacy and the office do,
Maybe,
that I know of.
Okay, because now sometimes they just have a key sitting out. Sometimes I have to ask for it, but I guess if you know there's going to be a lockdown, if you know ahead of time, maybe just put a note, make sure you have a classroom key. Because if she doesn't set it, they'll give it to you if you ask for it. But because if you have the lockdown, you're supposed to have a key. And I never really used to have a key up until last year. So.
Yeah.
Other places I stuff, the doors would just be locked. Like you go
Oh,
in,
they
it
open
locks,
them and
they open
yeah.
it, and then when you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
If you accidentally shut it, you have to
Yeah,
go
then
down
you
to
do
the office.
that. Yeah.
And that's why I keep mine locked all the time, and I tell the kids don't shut it tight. People always go out and shut it tight, and then I have to send somebody or I go and open it back up. But because of a lockdown situation, I always keep mine locked. And for a while, we had to do that. When I worked at Red Rock, we had to do that.
Oh,
And keep it locked all day long. And then you were prepared if it came up that there was a lockdown. All you have to do is check the hall, shut your door.
Right.
So
I guess if you know there's going to be a scheduled fire drill, you know, it'd be nice to know because that's,
Yeah.
I guess you don't know that really that often, but if you know.
no,
there's
we
gonna
know
be-
the first week of school.
That's it,
After
that's-
that, they never tell us. It's
Yeah.
just see how quickly you can get out there.
Yeah.
And hope it's not during your prep.
Yeah. Do you have any questions? I mean, everybody does a good job. Everybody does it differently.
Yeah.
So, I can't really think of anything else.
No, I think that front page is a great idea. And like the logins and things, I always put on mine. But like I was telling Ann the other day, I did a seating chart in campus, but now we've changed our seats, so I have to go back in and do
Yeah.
that. Where if I just put a list of kids, I always have name tags on my desk. So you don't really need a seating chart. What you do need is a list of all the
A
kids.
seating
So
chart is nice. I
is
know,
it okay?
One teacher does. She has the desks. She must not move her desk often, but she just writes the names on the little post-it notes, and then when she does change
Oh.
it, she just moves the
Moves
post-it
those
notes
around.
which is. But then sometimes you're changing desks.
Yeah, we
formations,
change
but-
more often probably than other. I don't know that upper grades change as often
I
as
don't
we
think
do.
they can because we don't have any room. to
Yes,
change.
yeah, good
I
point.
think they're
Yeah.
stuck in one spot, but
So many kids.
and a lot of like Christy Delaney too for like the little ones. First they have named. She always says if you want to put name tags out, you can. You know, for these are
Oh,
for the
for
little
them
ones.
to wear.
Yeah, and sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. But you know, like at the beginning of the school year, she had name tags, then she had their lunch number on the back, so I would pass them off before lunch,
Oh, good
so
idea.
they could, you know, when they're still learning their number, and it actually is helpful. Then it helps you get to know their names a little quicker, but not necessary. But even these things, and then like if the classes switch, a lot of the teachers will have them make tents. Like if Michelle's class comes in here, they'll have one of these little tents they can pop on the desk, and then you know, those are just extra. Things.
Which is helpful for me also because then I learn their names.
It does help you
and-
learn names.
yeah.
Sure.
And like we'll start switching for science and social studies very soon. So when we do that, the whole class goes together, but the other teachers don't know your class. So then having that is
Yeah.
helpful, and having that if you're subbing in one of the other rooms and the new kids come in, that helps too. So
Oh, and there is, and sometimes I haven't had to do it much, but if you need to take your laptop with you, they do have some laptops in the library that the subs can go get. They even have a little card that tells you what needs to be plugged into where, kind of shows you how to hook it up. But I think Stacy can help too. But yeah, if you need to take that, there is like Christy Green had me in, and she went and had the laptop already set up for me.
yeah,
Which was really nice because that saved me like 15-20 minutes of
Mhm.
having to go down there, get it hooked up, so
Yeah.
that you can, if you know you need to take your laptop with you.
And if you're knowing you're going to be gone for one reason or another, you know, weeks ahead of time or whatever, and you know you're going to be out, like the meetings that we're going to have with Ann Wenish, it's good to put in for that if you want to take your laptop with, to put in for one of the extra ones because there's only a few.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a first come, first serve type
Yeah.
thing. And I know I want to have mine with me when I go, so I can put a lot of that in, so it's helpful to.
A lot of
Get
people
that
just
set
take
up
them
ahead
home
of
at
time.
night and they just, yeah. So yeah, if you can have that already set up for them, that's really nice. But obviously, if you don't, they can go get it in the center. But I don't know how many there are. Yeah, I don't know.
I think there's 4 or 5,
Yeah.
something like
And
that.
Stacy's
And
really helpful too if you run into trouble.
Yeah.
She'll come and help.
just make sure you take this white thing off and hide it, because it's the wrong white thing. And if with the sub ones,
Oh, yeah.
they're different. And so if they hook it up into here, they're going to wreck your thing. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay.
it wrecks it. So I take mine and put it in the drawer usually,
Yeah.
or throw it in my bag when I leave.
So it should come with all that hookup then, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
So thank you,
Anything else?
Ann.
Sure.
I think we're pretty good. Can I hang on to this?
Sure, she knew I took it, what I
Okay.
was taking it for, so
Okay.
sure.
Maybe what I'll do is just make a copy of this. Would you guys like
Yeah.
that? Of this front page, because that is the important information
It
that I
is.
see there, and
And then there's a lot of information on that one page, so
yeah,
it'll save you a lot of time.
and I will just throw it in your mailboxes for you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Ann.
Sure, no problem.
And I think unless you have other questions, we're good to go for today. A short time today. And next time, now we don't meet in October. Our next meeting will be in November, and it is the 19th. It's not until later in November this time.
7:30 or 7:15?
Let's do 7:30.
For November?
November 7:30. Yeah. The rest of them will do 7:30. I found out some of the other schools who have 8 o'clock start are doing 7 o'clock meetings. So
That's the 19th.
that concerned me. That we're coming in so early because we have to get it in before duty hours. They're doing it kind of during duty hours. So I had to let that go.
7:30 the 19th.
Yeah. 19th of November.